Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We are spoiled. As usual, we do our best to bring in the best content we can and to reach out to some of the top athletes that come out from Africa. And tonight we have been graced by George Sawezy. George couldn't join us live because of his commitments and obviously because of the time zone. But George, thank you so much for taking time and joining us this evening.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
George, fantastic. Look, we appreciate the time zone and the time difference. And with all that, and yes, with the time difference, it can't be easy. What time is it there over there right now?
So right now it's 1 o'clock, midday, lunchtime, yeah.
And I'm sure you've just come out of a pump or from a session or so.
So we had a gym session in the morning. So I stay a little bit out of town. So I had to commute into the city center where we have the gym. Then coming back home to have a grab, then before after a training session. So tonight we have a COVID test because we have a game this weekend. So we get tested every week before every game. So we have a test before our evening training session.
Okay, George, I'm tempted to just dive in to where you're at the moment, but I'm sure the viewers at home want to know about George. They want to know where you come from, and you've come through the Zimbabwean rugby ranks as well. So I think just for a start, has it always been rugby for you?
Growing up, cause I grew up mainly in South Africa, but I traveled through Southern Africa cause my mom was into tourism. So I was always finding myself in a different place at different times. But mainly I was in South Africa for the main part. So rugby, I can say for me, rugby has always been the main thing. But I did play a bit of cricket, a bit of soccer, volleyball, chess, but it was always rugby and cricket, in the forefront. Yeah.
Brilliant. I thought I was the only weirdo who played chess. So thank you for making me feel a lot better. And I definitely will challenge you to a game.
Please.
That should happen. You mentioned cricket. What did you do? I can't, I see you big, stocky, I assume fast bowler.
Yeah, so I was actually a genuine all-rounder. I opened the bowling and I batted maybe number 3, 4, then the middle order, top middle order. Yeah, good old days.
Yeah, I need to go back and verify these facts. So viewers at home, if you're watching, we have an all-rounder here. If anyone's looking for, I don't know if there's any Spanish clubs who are going to be watching this, but they can get 2 for 1 here. They can get a top rugby player and an all-rounder who bowls very quick and bats at number 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And great to hear that, George. And you mentioned that you traveled a bit in your younger days. And like you said, it's always been rugby or cricket for you. So in terms of rugby, your junior school, did you play through? It's always interesting to find out if someone already was playing provincial level throughout their junior school through to high school, or when did it actually occur to you just how good you are?
So in primary school, I did play a bit of. It wasn't that competitive, but I did play. But my school cricket was much more than rugby. So I played cricket, all the junior setups in the primary school. But then when I moved to high school to DHS in Durban, both sports, it's a sporting school, so both sports excelled. So you had to have a winter sport and summer sport. So I sort of played cricket and rugby at different times. But when I left school, that's when I decided to focus much more on rugby because South Africa there was more exposure for me, instead of cricket. But I kind of sort of want to play cricket again. But yeah, it is what it is.
George, like I said, if there's any Spanish clubs watching this or anyone from a Spanish club, George is available. He bowls very fast, apparently, and he can bat. So he would be useful. But I don't want to jump into that quite yet, George. We can talk about your cricketing contract after.
Okay.
So you've left Durban High School, which again, lots of quality cricketers have come out of there. And I have a personal friend, Ainsley Ndlovu, who also went to the same high school.
Yeah.
Good little cricketer. And where have you gone from there with your rugby? You said you've taken it more seriously after you've left. So what happened then?
So when I actually a funny story in my last high school game when I was in matric. I can't remember which school we played against, but I was man of the match, and luckily for me, there were like Sharks recruiters at the game, and they like sort of liked what I did in the game because I was playing eight, and so I got a contract to go to the Sharks Academy then, and so the following year I went to the Sharks Academy, but like it wasn't all roses, like it was tough, it was hard, like the grind there, but I stuck it out. But I left the academy because I got a call to go to UCT, and the coach then was Kevin, and I can't remember the first name, but another guy called Clint Van Rensburg called me through to UCT, and I found myself at UCT for a year or so. I played Varsity Cup Young Guns there. Then I left. I got a call from Peter de Villiers to go to UWC. So I left UCT, then I went to UWC. And at UWC, my first year, it was a bit rocky, like the coaches that were there, trying to like fit into the style of play. So I found myself playing second team, like pretty much for the whole year. And there was a coach there, Mabiza, he had confidence in me, he trusted me. And, like he gave me more game time and everything. So I made myself, work extra hard than the other guys that were there. And then I moved from the second team to the first team. And when Peter de Villiers left, when Chester Williams, the late Chester Williams came through, that's when, like my rugby at UWC started to like flourish, and, I started to establish myself more. And that's when I also made my debut for the Zimbabwe Sevens, the 15 side. That was in 2016.
So, George, look, 15,000 questions came to mind there when you told me that story, but I want to go just one step back. So you've said you've gone from the Sharks Academy and then you've gone on to university at UCT. And I know UCT is a top university in Africa, one of the top three, I would think. And you've managed to get in there. And as a talented rugby player, you must have had to do exceptionally well in high school in terms of your academics for you to qualify.
No, like academics, like growing up in a black family, they always, tell you like your books first. If you want to do any sports, you must, do your books. And then when you excel there, that's when they'll allow you to do like, the extracurricular activities. So like I passed my matric very well. And so when I was at the Sharks Academy, I did sports management. That's when I went to UCT, and I got a diploma in sports management. And then when I left UCT, I went to UW, and then at UW, I completely changed from the sporting scene to BCom law, and yeah.
It's brilliant you say that, because as Africa Sports Consultancy, that is one thing we continue to try and drive home to say, in as much as you can be talented in whatever sport you may be in, it is important to have that other string to your bow where you have your academics in hand. Because I can imagine if you're at the Sharks Academy with not so great matric results, you would not have ended up at UCT, would you have?
No, I highly doubt it, because UCT it's sort of for them it's education first and then sports comes after. So I doubt if like my metric was that bad, they would have like accepted me to get into UCT.
That's amazing. And hats off to you, George. It's not many people who can get that right. Being a student athlete is very demanding and very tough. And amidst all those conditions, you've gone on and become the George we are watching today playing rugby in Spain. But before we get to Spain, again, and I know a lot of people are sitting there watching and wanting to hear about your journey to Spain, but you mentioned playing at UWC, you mentioned top coaches there, Peter de Villiers, the late Chester Williams. They, I'm sure they helped you to get your game to that next level.
Like surely Peter de Villiers, when I got there, like I was quite small at that time, and like the position that I play in as a flanker or lock forward, need the bulk, especially in South Africa, like big boys, so I really worked really hard with him. And when he departed, when the late Chester came in, um, Chester took a bit of liking to me, and he really, really worked hard with me, especially on the skill side. So, like I would say, heads off to Chester Williams for the. I would say, like for the player that I am today, it's like he has a major contribution to that.
Fantastic. And one thing that I've quietly pushed to one side, but I really want to highlight is you've played rugby for your country. You've played in the, I think it's the Goshawk side in terms of sevens. You've played for the Sables in 415 men's rugby. And look, like a lot of talented rugby players in Zimbabwe, you would have probably wanted to just be living out of your bag in hotels, playing rugby for your country through and through. But you've had to supplement and do all of this and do stuff in between. How has that journey been?
Like rugby or sports in general in Zim, they're not, yeah, they are professional to a certain extent, but they are not. So you actually have to work or like play outside the country professionally for you to be able to sustain yourself and your family. So we have to actually sacrifice a lot, put in the hard work, and also go like most of the majority of the guys actually have like a 9 to 5 job where they have to put in a shift, and then after that, you have your boots in the bag, rush to training, and also make it. So it's not easy. It's hard, like on when you're going on tours, you have to take off days at work so that you can actually make the tours and stuff like that. So a lot of people sacrifice a lot to just make one tour, and it also quite takes quite a toll on your body, because like you jumping up and down, working, and also doing the rugby work, to be in the gym, to eat right and stuff. So to find the balance, it's pretty tricky.
Now, you say that, George, and I want to dive into that just a little bit more to say you're working a 9 to 5 job, but you're also representing your country on the other hand. How are you ever going to attain your actual potential or get to compete on that next level? And will Zimbabwe ever get to a point where we can compete against top rugby nations?
So like Zim competing with other top nations, like Zim has a lot of talented players. Like just look at the recent IRB team of the decade. You have Tendam Tawarira, who is Zimbabwean but plays for SA, and then you have David Pocock, who was named in that team as well, who's also Zimbabwean. So like in terms of talent, we do have the talent. Like I feel like we're lagging behind in terms of resources, and as well as being a fully professional side, because people have to juggle work and playing rugby. It's not easy in terms of whereby you have to go into the gym in the morning, then you have to go to your work, and then after that, then you have to go to training. So like fatigue plays a big part, whereby other countries, these players are fully professionals. All he has to do is wake up, go to gym, like they're having these, meals that are set up and well prepared for them. And then they just have like a training session. And after that, they have to relax. They have these luxurious things, for recoveries. Whereas for us, we actually have to grind and work hard for whatever we earn and whatever we get. But in terms of competing with other nations, I think we do have what it takes to compete. We just have to find resources, like to supplement with the guys that will be in the team or the setup to play a certain tournament or qualifications or the World Cup if we do qualify for the World Cup in 2023.
George, I love the approach that you have taken. And, you've mentioned how Zimbabwe has so much potential and has players who have gone away and played for other countries and have excelled, and which could have been a part of the Zimbabwe national team. But, albeit everyone has to make ends meet and everyone's conditions are different, which makes me jump straight into your story. George, you've now found yourself in Spain playing club rugby. How has that come to be?
So ending up in Spain. So in 2017, I got myself an agent through one of my friend who also plays for Zim, Royal Male. So he hooked me up with an agent, and then from there, this guy made contacts in Spain, and I played in the north of Spain with a team called Crata Coruña, and it was fun times, like it was my first time playing in Europe, and it was difficult because up north it rains every day and we have to train in the rain, we have to play in the rain, sort of adapt to the new rugby style because in South Africa, it's more kicking rugby, but there's more physical aspects to it. And they're in the north of Spain, they kick a lot, and they also play running rugby because their rugby is based more of their football style because they more known for their football instead of rugby. So I had to adapt, and also the language barrier. That was pretty hectic, and I managed to get over that hurdle, and here we are.
George, fantastic. It's a brilliant story. And why am I giggling is I am sure you got past that language barrier because I see that you found love in Spain. So you must know some Spanish.
Yeah, man. I do have a girlfriend. It's gonna be a year soon, and yeah, she has helped me, navigate my way around, and she tries to teach me Spanish, but it's not easy.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And you mentioned how the dynamics and the type of rugby that you've had to face up to in Spain has been different. So I know you've mentioned that, but what is another difference that you found between playing rugby in Zimbabwe, South Africa, or in Africa in general, and playing in Spain?
So playing in Spain, it's the styles are totally different. They prefer kicking a lot, and when they prefer playing with the backs more. And so in South Africa, we the style of play is more physical. They love their forwards to do the dirty work and then give to the fast guys outside. Here in Spain, it's kick. When they kick back to you, they catch it and they send it straight to the backline players, where the forwards don't play much of a role. But so I had to adapt to that, to having less ball in my hands and to work a little more in defense and stuff like that.
I don't understand very much about rugby, but um, it does sound like quite a difference. And having watched a little bit of rugby myself, and I should put it out there, I'm an All Blacks supporter. I might have just lost myself a friend, but
No love lost.
but yeah, absolutely brilliant that you've managed to adapt your style as you've gone over there, and it's always a good facet to have as a player. And now that you are playing in Spain, what does that mean for you in terms of playing for your country?
The door is always open for me to play for Zim, because when I got here in 2017, I also played a couple of games for Zim, but the difficulty comes at a time whereby you have to, cater for your well-being, and, families, you have to look after families. So it's not always easy, like living, especially when the team here has a game and then you make yourself available for Zim. That means, because the rugby seasons are different. So for us to leave the club and go play for Zim, which means you're risking losing your contract here, because the club pays for everything, and then when you go to Zim, you're risking that chance of like cementing your place in the team. And like with rugby players all over the place, they might just end up replacing you. So you have to put your so to say financial side first, then your country. But like we always love to represent, and it's always an honor to play for your country. Not a lot of people get that chance to actually represent Zimbabwe.
Totally understand that. And I want to thank you for your honesty. It's not often people come out and they're open and honest enough about their current situation. And it's sad. It is really, really sad to hear something like that, where someone really wants to play for their country, but the situation on the ground doesn't allow. But one thing I take my hat off to you is to say you've made it work. You are still living the dream. You're chasing your passion, doing what you love on a day-to-day basis, which is absolutely brilliant. And it's everyone we've gotten on the show, we've done our best to get a lot out of them. And one question we don't let anyone walk away without giving us insights to is what can you say out there to any aspiring young rugby players, be it in Zimbabwe, but in Africa as a whole, and also players who could find themselves playing in the open age group and are looking for clubs and looking for opportunities abroad, which are not necessarily available to them where they are?
What I would advise is, like, for me personally, I'm not one of the most talented guys you ever find around, but through hard work, dedication, and honesty to the craft, you just have to put your head down and do the work, like waking up earlier than the rest of the guys, putting in the work. It takes years and years, training. Sometimes you might think nothing is happening, I might just quit, but you just have to keep on working. If you have a chance to meet with other guys that have played at a higher level, learn from them, ask questions, don't be afraid to ask questions, and keep digging and working. Because most of these days, youngsters growing up, there's PlayStations and all this stuff. For them to go outside and actually make human contact, it's a rare thing. So like I advise the youths, to go out, play, just have fun. And when you're having fun, these opportunities will come. Because if you're doing something that you don't like, I wouldn't advise you to be, out there doing it. First of all, love what you do, and then work really, really hard to become a better person in whatever aspect find yourself in.
Absolutely fantastic. One element, I know I asked you a very long-winded question, but one element that I know And I hope that someone out there in the rugby fraternity is out there watching and will hear the answer to this. But I'm an aspiring rugby player. How do I get myself to Spain or to Europe?
There's different pathways, you know. Like for me, like I said, I found an agent that found me the way for me to be where I am today. But some players, you know, you be just playing a game and then someone spots you and then they scout you and they send you over. So like I was saying, play every game the hardest and the best you can. You never know who's watching, you know. Because like one day where you like relax yourself, that's when an agent or a team is watching and then you have let yourself down and that opportunity won't come again. So I just urge youngsters to like every game, you know, play your best, do your best, and you never know who's watching.
Absolutely fantastic. George, we've sadly run out of time. What we do is it's a conversation, like you noticed. We don't come with any sort of set questions, but thank you so much for your time and for your insights. And we can only wish you the best. And we are keenly watching you and supporting you in Spain. And your club can certainly know that they have a Zimbabwean crowd shouting for them from here.
Thank you very much. Means a lot, you know, the support, especially coming from the roots, means a lot. Thanks.
Cheers, George. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's pre-recorded, but absolutely brilliant gems that came from George tonight. And as you can see, so much talent in Africa that can be tapped into, being lost along the way. But again, it's never the end of the road. And as we strive to do is to empower athletes, and George has been lucky enough to be empowered. And I hope someone out there watching tonight can also be empowered from this. So from my side, again, keep looking after your loved ones. It's festive, but again, COVID has not gone away. Keep sanitizing those hands and let's keep safe. Good night.
Cheers. Good night.